Hi and welcome back to Stay Cure with Dawn Williams, and let's cook it up.
Let's cook it up. Okay, so let's go back to Leviticus 23, to the Day of Atonement. Let's just unpack it. Let's just recap. So the Day of Atonement. The Lord said to Moses, the 10th day of the 7th month is the Day of Atonement. Hold a sacred assembly and deny yourselves and present a food offering to the Lord. Okay. So let's show people when this is, please. Okay. So the Day of Atonement is the 10th day of Tishri. So if you scroll over to the next month, so you'll notice is, you just pressed the wrong way. Oh no. Yeah, so we're looking for the 10th day of Tishri. Oh, no, it's back in September. So most people begin to disconnect because you're seeing 2017. Doesn't matter which year it is, it's on the 10th day of Tishri, which happens in Yom Kippur. Now show them the moon, please. The fourth one, yep. So it's the 28th of September, which is a half moon. So if we go back to the calendar, please. So the 28th of September is there, and it's Yom Kippur. Always happens around the half moon, always. And if we go to the giant moon calendar, please. The first one. Okay, because that's already there. So Yom Kippur happens on the 9th. And how do we know that? Because we go to the calendar. No, yeah. And go and take it to the 19th, 2019, September. Okay, so if we come down, it'll show us Yom Kippur, the first day of Tishri. And if we go back to the giant moon calendar, which should be already on it, was this September 2019? It's October. So what's the date that it happens on? Happens on the 9th. Go back to the calendar, please. Scroll down, please. There. So it's happening on the 30th. No, this is the wrong year. Oh no, it's the right year, my bad. Scroll down, please. Okay. But we're looking for Yom Kippur, which is the 10th day, so it's in October.
Yeah.
So the 10th day of Tishri, which is the 9th of October this year, is Yom Kippur. So let's go to the moon giant, please, and see when the half moon is. Okay, so the half moon happens on the 6th. So Yom Kippur always happens around the half moon. Okay. And so again, that's the sign. The sign is the half moon for the Day of Atonement. So let's go to Leviticus, was it 16? Yeah. And this is details. This is the detail of what happens on the Day of Atonement. So if you scroll up, please, and go from the beginning And the Lord spake unto Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron. Let's just scroll back to 15 and see what happened to them. See if we can get any clues. So as you can see, these are just the clues. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When any man hath a running issue out of his flesh, because of his issue he is unclean. And this shall be his uncleanness in his issue. So in the Hebrew, it'll probably tell you what that issue is. Let's open up a Hebrew to English, because I don't want to presume, I want to show people. Leviticus 15.
Yep.
Leviticus. Yep. So, and the Lord spake unto Aaron. No, where you going?
No, sorry.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say to them, When any man hath a running issue. So let's see what's that saying. To the man that he is becoming discharging from flesh of him. Discharge of him. Okay. So if you go and study those words, which we don't have time for, like we do for all our studies, just because the Ruach is showing me this stuff and just saying to add this in, add this in, add this in. You'll see if you study these words and the Strong's Concordance, you'll start finding out what this discharge is. Is it pus? Is it, what kind of discharge is it? If you did a study on this in the Strong's Dictionary by putting words in that are above the green, so discharge. Discharge of zub, or I'm looking for it, from discharge, zub. So let's look at zub in the Strong's Concordance. Open up Strong's Concordance, please. Where have you put it?
What is it called? It's called Bible Hub, right?
Just type in Strong's Concordance and just go to the Bible Hub one. Yeah. So now, Hebrew, and type in Zub, Z-U-B. Zub. Yeah, there you go, right there. So that's just an example of how easy it is to look stuff up. To flow, gush, scroll down, zub. So zub. Okay. Okay, so that's what flow means. So that's an example of why you should read the Hebrew scriptures, because it paints all the detail for you. So now let's go back to Leviticus 16, please. Oh, Leviticus 15, because I told you to go back. So let's click on that. Every bit. So if you scroll down to the bottom, it should tell us why Aaron's two sons died. Okay. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. So it's talking about the 8th day there. Hold on. So you can see that when I'm looking through scripture, I'm looking for clues. And on the 8th day she shall take unto her 2 turtles or 2 young pigeons and present them to the priest. So if we scroll back and do this from the beginning, because the ruach is trying to show me something all the way back. Okay. Scroll down slowly, please. Slowly, slowly. And on the 8th day, he shall take to him 2 turtle doves. So if you scroll back to, if you change to Leviticus 14, please. Okay. And Moses spake unto, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, This shall be the law of the leper in the day of his cleansing. He shall be brought unto the priest, and the priest shall go forth out of the camp, and the priest shall look, and behold, if the plague of leprosy be healed in the leper, then the priest command to take him from that is to be cleansed 2 birds alive and clean, and cedar wood and scarlet and hyssop. Scroll down, please. Scroll down, scroll down. Just slowly, just slowly. Yeah, keep scrolling constantly. Just slowly though. Yeah, keep going, keep going. 7th day. 7th day, 7th day. So this is obviously talking about Tishri. How do we know that? Because it tells us on the 10th day. So this is talking about the 7th and the 8th day. So I wonder then, I wonder, see, because we're getting details here, so I wonder then, have a look at the 7th day, please, on the calendar.
Of what month?
7th day, October 2019. So go to the moon calendar. Okay. So that's the half moon. So the Ruach's got me digging for gold. It's got me digging for gold. So go back to Leviticus 14, please. Because he's just not letting it go. So the 7th day. Okay. So this is talking about making atonement. This is all talking about making atonement. Because it says here, and on the 8th day he shall take 2 lambs without blemish, and 1 ewe lamb of the first year without blemish, and 3 tenth day. So it's talking about days of Tishrei when they should be done. So if you scroll up then, I'm just looking for days. So if you go back to the 13th, please. Okay. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, because the Ruach is telling me that what we're reading at Leviticus is not the entire story. He's just telling us of the day that Aaron is going into the Holy of Holies, which is the finalization of all the cleansing days. Because that's what we're reading here, which I've never read before. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, when a man shall have in the skin of his flesh arising a scab or bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought up unto Aaron the priest, or unto one of his sons the priest. And the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh, and when hair and the plague is turned white. So this is all about getting rid of sickness, getting rid of anything that is not perfect. And the reason I say that is because in the beginning with Adam, when Adam and Eve were created, they were created perfect. they wouldn't have suffered from any of this stuff. And Yahuwah is holy, so his DNA is holy, is perfect. And that's what our DNA once was. So, you scroll down, the priest look on the priest shall look on him and pronounce him unclean. Stop. If the bright spot be white in the skin of his flesh, and in sight be not deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof be not turned white, then the priest shall shut up him that hath the plague 7 days. Okay. And the priest shall look on him the 7th day, and behold, if the priest plague's sight be at a stay in the plague. So this is teaching us how to quarantine people who are sick.
Wow.
So these are the first quarantining laws.
Mm.
Way back then. So what does that tell you? That these people were far more intelligent than what we've been led to believe.
Yeah.
And the priest shall look on him again the 7th day, and behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him unclean, but it is but a scab, and he shall wash his clothes. So, unless I'm wrong, Rosh Hashanah is the first day of Tishrei, and if what the Holy Spirit is telling me right now is that is when all the cleansing rites begin at Rosh Hashanah, and that's when the trumpets are sounded, that's when they begin all the cleansing rites right up to the 10th, and the 10th day is actually the culmination. After all those are done, then the high priest goes into the Holy of Holies, the sanctuary of Yahuwah, and makes atonement for himself and the entire nation of Israel. But before that can happen, all these other things have to happen. So it's like a procession. This is what the Ruach is telling me. So if we scroll down, keep scrolling down. Wow, this is amazing information. Keep scrolling down. Keep scrolling down. Just scroll down constantly. Just slowly, but constantly. Keep going constantly. Keep going constantly. Keep going. Keep going, Dawn. Just keep scrolling constantly. Constantly. But just slowly. Don't stop. Okay. Keep going. Okay. So let's just keep going back. This is really important information. So let's go back to 12. Leviticus 12. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel. If a woman have conceived seed and born a man-child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of the separation of her infirmity. She shall be unclean. And in the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. And so these are all purifying rites. So go back again to 11. Keep scrolling. Stop. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever parteth the hoof and is cloven-footed and cheweth cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat. Of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. That's why the Arabs don't eat camels. And the coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not. So these are all the laws. Okay. So anyway, let's go back to 16. Okay, so let's scroll. Okay. So go down to verse 5. Verse 5, and he shall take all of the. So these are all the details in here. And then it gets to verse 7, and it says, and he shall take the 2 goats and present them before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. So this is before he even goes in. And Aaron shall cast lots upon the 2 goats, one for the Lord and one for the Lord, and the other lot for the scapegoat. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go to Leviticus 16 and the Hebrew to interlinear, so we can see verse 8. You thought I was going to say let's go back to the topic. So let's go verse 8. Verse 8. Okay. And Aaron shall cast lots to Azazel. And as we have already learned, who is Azazel? Okay, so let's go back to the study. Who is Azazel? What is Azazel? Who is Azazel? So we know about the Moedim, and we know what they are, and they're governed by the moon, by the full moon, the new moon, and the half moon. And those, and all the Moedim, so Pesach, Passover, Feast of Trumpets, the Rosh Hashanah, and the Day of Atonement. So Pesach and the Day of Atonement are the hugest ones. That's when the most child sacrifice goes on. It's and we know this because you just have to look at what's being sacrificed there. Nothing has been sacrificed at Rosh Hashanah. The sacrificing goes on at Pesach, which is when Yeshua became the high priest, the Lamb of God, and fulfilled all the scriptures regarding the law. And then Yom Kippur is when the high priest, who Yeshua was, because Yeshua becomes the high priest after he becomes baptized. And then he goes into the Holy of Holies in heaven, not on earth, and present himself as the first fruits and everything else there. So then the question is, how does this all relate to pedophilia, child sacrifice, and abortion? Okay, I'm glad you guys asked. So we see there, if you just quickly click on, so if you click on Azazel Strong's Concordance, so you typed in, what did you type in? Azazel? Dawn? What did you type in?
I didn't type in.
Show people.
Okay.
No. Go up. No. Go to the Strong's Concordance.
Yeah.
So that's already said on the Hebrew. So just so people know that you actually typed in Azazel or Azazel, Ozazl, which is what's in the Hebrew scriptures. And then watch what it brings up. Hey, no. You got to put it on Hebrew, Dawn. There, yeah. It's got to be on Hebrew. Now type in Azazel, because it's a Hebrew word, so it's not going to search for it unless you. ZL, yeah. Oh, interesting. You
saw what I did, right?
Yeah. Okay, do it again and type in scapegoat. But you haven't got it set to Hebrew. Details, remember?
I would have checked it.
Yeah, now go up and type in scapegoat. Because that's after all what the English is talking about, the scapegoat. So who was the scapegoat? Yeah, so right there, people, type in scapegoat in the Hebrew, and this is what it gives us, Azazel, which means entire removal. Azazel. Okay, so then let's find out who Azazel is. So you'll notice I've got all the blue clues and all the clues to the Muad'Dim and blue text in white. And the reason for that is because that's in the biblical canon. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the book of Enoch, which is no longer in the biblical canon, but used to be. And then from here, you're going to start seeing why the book of Enoch was omitted from the biblical canon, because the people who are the elite, who run our world, they don't want people to know this stuff. Because if you know this stuff and you learn this stuff, then you can you can begin to start sussing out what they are doing and how they get their power.
Mm-hmm.
So let's click on that, please. Okay. So verse 1, and it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And if you go to Genesis 6, please, just open up a tab. Genesis 6. Yeah, that'll do. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth, go back to, probably pull in Genesis 6 to that tab. Yep. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. Go back to Genesis 6, please. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth, and the daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful. Go back to Enoch, please. So what I'm doing is I'm correlating information here that tells you that this book is legit. And the angels, and in Genesis it says the sons of God. And how do we know that it's the sons of God? Because if you pull up the Hebrew to internet, please, Dawn.
A new one?
Yeah, if you have to. Okay. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, the sons of God. And it says there, the Beni. Put your cursor next to it, please. Yeah, Beni, M-B-N-I, the sons of Elohim, the Elohim. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there. Okay. So now what we do is we go to Strong's Concordance. So open up a Strong's Concordance, please, and type in Beni. Because we're trying to show you who the sons of God are and why the English translation is shit. Because it's being written by Luciferians, by the kings of the earth, the Nephilim kings, Rephaim kings, and Gibborim kings, deliberately to keep the critical details from you. As we're beginning to see, okay.
BNI?
Yep.
Oh.
Come on. You're a bit tired, princess.
Yeah.
Okay. So if that's not coming up, then go and put it back on Hebrew and type in sons of, or just sons of. Why did you click on that? Just type in sons of.
I did already. It's down there.
Where?
Yeah.
No, because you clicked on something else. Just go. So change it to Hebrew, please. Yeah, just type in sons of and don't choose anything. Yeah, and then just click. Yeah. Keep scrolling down. Keep scrolling down. Keep scrolling down. Keep scrolling down. It'll be here. There. Yep. So that's what we're looking for here. So in the study, so Azazel, or as Enoch chapter 6 tells us, it's talking about sons of, aka B'nai, which is from the English to Hebrew translation, and then Strong's Concordance, Ben from Strong's Concordance. I'll let you copy and paste that stuff. Why is this stuff important? Because we need to know what's going on in our world. So I'll just let you do that, Dawn. And then we'll go back to Enoch chapter 6. So you can see already the correlation. And that's what it's all about. It's about correlation. And it came to pass when the children of men, so this is echoing Genesis 6. How do we know that? Because you just go and read Genesis 6 and it's telling you point blank. The angels of the children of heaven, the sons of God, saw and lusted. And this is why this book has been omitted from the biblical canon. And this is why the church advises you not to read it and tells you that it's a sin if you do. What a lie. What an absolute lie. Because they're trying to hide from you who they really are. And the church, they are the Nephilim kings, the modern day Nephilim kings, the modern day Raphaim, and the modern day Gibborim. And that's probably going to be in the next episode, but it depends. We might do that in this. So here we go here. Verse 1, and it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. So this is echoing and correlating Genesis 6. And the angels, the children of the heaven, the sons of God, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Semyaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. So they know that this, what they're about to do, is a great sin. They know. They just don't know what the consequences are going to be. And they all answered him and said, let us take it up, please, so that I don't get to the bottom and lose. And said, let us all swear an oath and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations. Look up the word imprecations, please. New tab, imprecations.
So I make sure I get the...
Imprecations, a spoken curse.
Wow.
I pushed my way through screaming imprecations, a spoken curse. So that's what an imprecation is. So go back. So when you're swearing and cursing, that's what you're doing. You're basically doing what these angels are doing, who are now fallen angels. Anyway, so let's go back to that scripture, please. Enoch. Okay. Then swear they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations. So these are mutual curses upon it. And they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon, which consequently is the same mountain that Yeshua took his disciples up when he met with Elijah and Moses. And you can do your own research on that, but you'll come to the same conclusion. It's in Caesarea, which is obviously a Latin word by the Romans, and Caesarea is where the statue of Pan is. It's where the gate of Hades is, which Yeshua referred to, and it's where Mount Hermon is. And just of interest, the Vatican have their own outpost on there, and they've made it off limits, a certain segment of that mountain. So there's something going on there that they're hiding from the rest of the world, and that is a fact. So then it goes, so this is in the days of Jared. So let's look up who Jared is. New window, Jared. Thank you. Please come again.
So what do you want me to type in? Jared, what?
Just type in
Bible?
Anything that gets the desired result. No.
That one?
Anyone will probably say the same thing. Information. Jared is the first son of Mahalalel at the age of 65. Genesis 5:15. The name Jared came from Hebrew origin, which means descent or descendant. Okay. Type in genealogy from Adam. Now you know how to spell genealogy properly. Okay. Now click on any one of those. Yeah, that'll do. Scroll down. Yeah, so there you go. So you have Adam and Eve, then you have Seth, Enos, Canaan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch. So they came down, they didn't come down in the days of Enoch, they come down in the days of Jared, but Enoch wrote about it. Why? Because Enoch was a prophet. How do we know that? Well, go to Jude, please. Jude, verse 14. And the Ruach is always doing the same. Jude, verse 14. Okay. Enoch, the seventh from Adam. So let's just go back and count that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The seventh from Adam. Okay, cool. Now go back to the scripture. Jude.
Wow.
Okay. Enoch, the seventh from Adam, prophesied about them. What did Yeshua say in Luke 24:27? Beginning with Moses and all the prophets. Jude is who? Jesus' brother. Yeshua HaMashiach's brother. How do you know that? You can do your own research, but I'm telling you, and I'll bet my life on it, that Jude is Yeshua's brother, Jesus' brother. So they're obviously reading from the book of Enoch. So now let's go back to Enoch, please. And that's one of the reasons why we look at the book of Enoch. Okay, so we're talking about Jared, and we're talking about Mount Hermon, and they call it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And these are the names of their leaders. Semyazaz, their leader, Arakabiba, Ramil, Kokabil, Tamil, Ramil, Daniel, Ezekiel, Barakil, Asael, Armaros, Patarel, Ananel, Zakil, Samsapel, Satarel, Turel, Jumahel, or Humahal, Saril. These are the chiefs of tens. So obviously there's 20 of them because it tells us in verse 6, and they were all 200. So 200 of these angels came down and forsook their places in heaven, which is what Jude says. I think it's in verse 4. Let's go back and have a look at that. Why is this important? Because these are the people who teach the Nephilim kings, the Rephaim kings and the Kibburim kings when to do these rituals, when to sacrifice children, when to sacrifice human beings, which was what you saw 2017 at Yom Kippur on the 30th of September. Okay, so that's what you're seeing. You're seeing that stuff, and you only really saw that one because it wasn't hidden. And that's because the powers that be, they know that mankind is so asleep and not even paying attention and don't know any of the stuff that they can just do it right in front of us and we don't even know what's going on. Okay, so here it says, verse 5, though you already know all of this, I want to remind you that the Lord at one time delivered his people out of Egypt. When did he do that? Pesach, Passover, on a full moon, on the 14th day of Nisan, but later destroyed those who did not believe, and the angels who did not keep their positions of authority, but abandoned their proper dwelling. These he has kept in darkness. So that's talking about these angels and Enoch. So let's carry on in Enoch, please. So lots of clues, and that's why this episode is called Clues. Okay. So let's go to the next chapter, please. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one. And they began to go in unto them and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants, and they became pregnant, and they bare great giants. Okay, let's go to Genesis, please. No, let's go to the Hebrew to English. Genesis chapter 6. No. Verse 4. Because you're wondering where the word Nephilim comes from. So I'm going to show you. So verse 4, there were giants. How do we know this? Because it tells us in Enoch. So all of this is a witnessing, 2 or 3 witnesses. So then if you go across and it says, there were giants in the earth in those days. If you go across to 6, show them where 6-4 is, please, Dawn. Go across.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go across to 6-4, so we know we're reading verse 4. Yeah, and that word there, what's that word? Nephilim. The ones distinguished. So it's referring to these beings that are distinguished because they're giants. So that's what Nephilim means, eh? The distinguished ones, or ones distinguished. So let's go to Strong's Dictionary. Whaarata Ruak is just unrolling this the total opposite way that I was going to unroll it. Hard case. Okay, so let's just type in Nephilim. NPH. No, NPH.
Oh.
Because you're trying to type in what's coming from the Hebrew to, yeah.
So
what's coming from the Hebrew. I don't know, go back and have a look at it.
NPHLIM.
Details. See. Okay, cool. See what comes up. Nothing? Okay. Go to Hebrew again. Yeah, type in giants. I'm just trying to correlate so people know that these words in the Hebrew, yeah, there you go, Nephilim, giants. So, where are we in Enoch? What chapter?
6, 7.
Okay, giants, 7. Okay, so chapter 7. So from chapter 7, we learn about the giants, aka Hebrew to English, the Nephilim. Because a lot of people will be asking, what does Nephilim mean? And fair enough. So it's our job to teach them. And then Nephilim, Strong's Concordance. So there, right there, it tells us giants, name of 2 peoples, one before the flood and one after the flood. Yeah, amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. So,
Wow.
okay. So we'll do the links after we finish the study, Dawn.
Okay.
So let's go back to Enoch, please. So you can see that Enoch is legit. Okay. So it's talking about the giants, the Nephilim, whose height was 3,000 ells, and that's why they're described as ones distinguished, because it's referring to their colossal size. So go and open and go ells to feet. Ells to feet. So type in how much is it? Go back. No, that's your job. Your job is details.
3,000.
3,000 ells.
11,250 foot.
Yeah. So to the average mind, this would seem incomprehensible. To the average mind. But I believe this to be true, and the reason I believe this to be true is because all the information in Holy Scripture is real. And we know this stuff because if you look at Isaiah 19:19, which talks about the pyramid, the Great Pyramid of Giza. So they're almost 3.5 kilometers tall. And that's why in all the ancient movies, you see these massive statues. You always see massive statues, eh? And the reason why you're seeing that is because they're an actual depiction of how big they used to be. So anyway, let's go back to the book of Enoch, please. Okay. So, who consumed all the acquisitions of men, and when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. So they started sinning against birds. So what was the original sin? They defiled themselves with who? With woman, with man. So that was their original sin. And so now in verse 5 it's saying that they're sinning against birds, beasts, reptiles, and fish. So people will go, well, how can they have sex with birds and beasts and reptiles and fish? It doesn't say they're having sex. What they're doing is they're manipulating the DNA of these beasts, reptiles, fish. And what they're actually doing is they're causing the dawn of dinosaurs. They're causing the dawn of minotaurs and centaurs and all those kinds of animals because they're manipulating the DNA. And you know that because their DNA has been manipulated because they're not human and they're not angel. They're half and half. So the reason that they have these special gifts and special abilities and special physical characteristics is because they're half angel, no longer just men. And it's their angelic DNA that gives them these special characteristics. Okay, and then it goes on to say, and drink the blood. So the blood, what is it about the blood? It's the DNA. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. So let's go to the next chapter, and it's chapter 8, and let's learn about Azazel. Who is Azazel? See, the English translation doesn't tell you this information, and that's because the English translation has been translated by the Nephilim, Rephaim, and Gibborim kings. Just interestingly enough, go back to Genesis 6 in the Hebrew to English, please. So I'll point out one more word. Mighty men. So look across, yep. Masterful men. Come down, masterful men. So it says Gibborim. Wow. So pull up a strong concordance because Gibborim means the masterful men. So even the way that the English is rendered, it's been purposely done so that you can't see who is being referred to or what's being referred to. And that's why I do not like the English translation. So get the info, get the spelling. Nothing. Go Hebrew. Okay. Go mighty. Kabir. Scroll down. Gibor. So click on that. So I just want to show people. Keep these open so that you can get the. So in Genesis 6. Okay. So you can see right there in the English it talks about mighty men. And then when you go, so if you go to the Hebrew to English, please. And if you read, it says mighty men in the English. But then when you read it in the Hebrew, it says Gibborim, the masterful men. So the people who wrote the English translation, they're being deliberately misleading. Because here it's actually telling you that these men were masters in their mind. The Giburim, they're masters in their mind. They're masters at what they do because their minds allow them to be masters. So then you go, okay, so these are, then that's starting to paint a different story. It's starting to paint a story of ones who are physically distinguished, the Nephilim, because it's talking about the same things. And then it's starting to tell us that their cerebral capabilities were extremely high. They were masters just because of their DNA. So now let's go back to the book of Enoch, chapter 8. Okay. Okay. So this is telling us who Azazel is. And Azazel. So this is that scapegoat at Leviticus 16. In your English translation, that totally doesn't tell you anything about Azazel. Doesn't even refer to him until you go to the Hebrew. And then it says Azazel, and then you look up there, and it tells you Azazel. And then you're going, who's Azazel? Oh, he's in the book of Enoch. And that's why they hide this information from you. That's why the English translation deliberately misleads you, because it's been written by modern day kings, modern day Nephilim kings, modern day Raphaim kings, and modern day Giburim. And what does Giburim mean? Masterful men. So, let's go to Revelation 12, please. I'm just going to show you something. There you go. Okay, Revelation 12. Scroll down, please. Go to 13, please. I mean, chapter 13, sorry. Can you go to chapter 13, please? Sorry.
So, oh, sorry.
Yeah, not paying attention there.
I was, but it was not computing.
Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Now here. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea. Which dragon? The dragon from chapter 12. And I saw a beast coming out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on its horns, and on each head a blasphemous name. The beast I saw resembled a leopard, but had feet like those of a bear and a mouth like that of a lion. The dragon gave the beast his power and his throne and great authority. One of the heads of the beast seemed to have had a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. The whole world was filled with wonder and followed the beast. People worshipped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast. And they also worshipped the beast and asked who is like the beast. Go back to verse 12 so we can just show people who the beast is.
Verse 12.
Chapter 12. Okay, chapter 12. So, verse 3. Then another sign appeared in heaven, and an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head. And its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. So for anyone who doesn't know what it's referring to there, stars are interchangeable with angels all throughout Scripture. How do we know that? Because Revelation 1:20 tells us that. That's in another study, so you can watch that. Mm-hmm. That's in bonus study, Angels and Aliens, so you can watch that one for that. So if you flip back to 13, please. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you about these Nephilim kings. Okay. So one of the heads of the beast seemed to have had a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. So this is talking about a Raphaim king. That's what this is talking about. It's talking about a king that has the ability to heal himself. And this is what I'm talking about. So the kings of our world, our current world, they are the same as the kings of the ancient world. They are Nephilim kings, Raphaim kings, and Gibborim. And they are the ones who conduct all of these child sacrifices or give orders to humans to do it. And we know this because if you go back to the book of Enoch in chapter 8, it tells us who their father is, Azazel. And Azazel was one of these 200. It doesn't mention that he's one of the captains of tens. But it says here, but as it says in Leviticus, they send the scapegoat out to the wilderness. Azazel is the scapegoat's real name, as we read in the Hebrew, and that's why Yeshua refers to the Torah, to the law, because he's pointing us to have a look at the real information. He must have known that these clowns were going to lie to us in an English translation. So verse 1, and Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony. So Azazel is one of the, well, all sin is ascribed to him. That's what the Day of Atonement is about. And then it says, and there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways. Semyaza, the leader of the watchers, the leader of the sons of God, these fallen angels, taught enchantments and root cuttings, Amaros, the resolving of enchantments, Barakiel. So as you read through this, you're starting to see the age that we are in. And Yeshua warned us, he said, as it was in the days of Noah, so it shall be at the coming of the Son of Man. So you're starting to see all these things. They are the biggest hallmark trends of our current society all around the world. You're starting to see all this stuff. They taught astrology, Kokobel, the constellations, Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds, Arakil, the signs of the earth, Samshil, the signs of the sun. You get a lot of people who are sun chasers and sun worshippers. And Sadiel, the course of the moon, and we know all about the moon now. It marks the Moedim. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. So Azazel, key character, because he's one of the fallen angels, and he is the one. They are all responsible, but him in particular, he is the leader of teaching all of the Moedim to his progeny, the Nephilim kings of our earth. So our earth is run by Nephilim kings, by Raphaim kings, by Gibborim kings. I would say more so by Gibborim kings, because they are masterful. Their minds are masterful. And so as we continue through the study, so
do you want to break
all this information?
Oh,
no, not yet. I just want to finish this paragraph.
Yeah.
So all this information tells us who the watchers are. So if we go back to the study now, and I'm just going to quickly do this. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. Actually, no, I'm not going to color it that. I'm going to color it this. So all of this information before the highlighted bit tells us who the watchers are and who Azazel is. Now you can see now that Azazel's name is not even in the English translation. He's called the scapegoat. It's not until you listen to Yeshua and go and study Moshe, the Torah, in the Hebrew that you decipher who Azazel or Azazel is. And this evidence is right here, tells us that the English translation was and has been to this day created to lead people away from the truth. So the people who translated the English translation, they deliberately wrote it so that you can't get all this detail and figure out what's going on. Now, we can have a break.